Hello everyone, this is Ankur Buddhiraja, Assistant Professor at the Department of Management, James Crater, Noida. In the subject Production and Operations Management, which is paper BBA 303, so far we have covered the fundamentals of Production and Operations Management, including the meaning, the definitions, nature, scope, and functions of Production and Operations Management. In the current session, I shall be taking up the topic called production systems, the various types, and the second topic, transformation process model. Before we move on with formal discussion of these topics, we should all be understanding what a production system is all about. A production system will have some relationship with the decisions related to the layout of machinery, what all processes and sub-processes and functions are involved in the production, and so forth. So when I talk about the various types, all these types will be differentiated from each other on these parameters only. Now, we will quickly study and understand the meaning of a production system. A production system is any system, big or small, which is mainly concerned with transformation of input into a desired output with the help of a process, often known as the production process, and with the help of certain resources, which are men, money, material, machines. The definition of production system is therefore based on four main elements: the input, the resources, the production process, and the output. In the current slide on the screen, you will be able to see a diagram where there are certain inputs mentioned in one box. Then with the help of forward moving arrows, we have shown what kind of transformation takes place, or what kind of conversion takes place. With the help of this conversion, finally the output is produced. Therefore, a production system transforms or converts a set of inputs such as materials, labor, equipment, skills, energy, etc. into one or more useful outputs such as goods and services. Usually, the output of any production system is normally called products, which may be either tangible in nature, can be touched and physically seen, can be intangible in nature in the form of services which cannot be touched, and can be a combination of both tangible goods and intangible services. In the diagram in this current slide, we'll be able to see that there is a flow chart moving from inputs to the production of output, where the inputs at this stage are not fit exactly for ultimate use or consumption. They have to undergo a transformation process, which may be involving some processes and sub-processes, so that a value added output is created. Now, I should tell you here, inputs are usually raw in nature. After undergoing transformation process, they become output, where certain value is added into them and they become fit for ultimate use and consumption. I'll next talk about the classification of production systems or various types of production systems. In the diagram, again, you will be seeing that there are four types of production system: job shop production, batch production, mass production, and continuous production. If you see, I have plotted all these four on a graph where on the x-axis we will see product variety, and on the y-axis we will see the operations volume or quantity. That means if we go for job shop production system, we will have more of variety while less of quantity. In comparison to this, if we talk about the continuous production system, we will see the volume of operations is large and the output is massively produced, while the variety will be either low or almost negligible. Now let us take each production system one by one. The first, as mentioned, was job shop production. Job shop production bears the characteristic of a manufacturing system of a very few quantity of products designed and produced as per the specification of customers within prefixed time and cost. That means such a system produces output but not in quantity, but variety is produced. If we talk about customized bikes, customized cars, etc., job shop production will take care of production of certain such goods. The distinguishing feature of this production system is low volume, as I've already mentioned, and high variety of products. So if you go to any car customization job shop outlet or factory or plant, you will see that there is a variety of cars customized as per the taste of the customers, but each of them will be unique in its own self and will not have quantity or large number of pieces of this output. Moving on, a job shop comprises of general purpose machines arranged into different departments, and each job demands unique technological requirements processing on machines in a certain sequence. That means there is no standardization of machines and processes possible. Since a lot of customization is done, so each job involved in customization process will require unique machines, unique processes, and other unique technological requirements. Quickly look at the characteristics of the job shop production system. First, high variety and low volume of products, use of general purpose machines and facilities, highly skilled operators or personnel who can take up each job as a challenge because of the uniqueness. That means we cannot hire any general or non-skilled operator or laborer. We have to have highly skilled operator because the batch, sorry, the job shop consists of each operation which is unique and highly specialized. Large inventory of materials, tools, and parts is to be maintained because we never know which part of the customization process calls for which tool, which part or material. And one very important character trait is that this kind of production system involves detailed planning with a lot of precision because it is essential for sequencing the requirements of each product being unique in its nature, capacities for each work center, and order priorities. Since the orders are not volume based, they are customized and they're variety based. So we have to keep in mind each order as a separate priority. Moving on, the second type of production system is batch production. As the name suggests, a batch production system creates batches of products and each batch has a different routing. According to the American Production and Inventory Control Society, a batch production is a form of manufacturing in which the job passes through functional departments in lots or batches, and each lot may have a different routing. That means the priority is not now individual order, but the priority is the batch order or order in terms of lots or batches. Each batch will be given to a set of machines and set of people requiring its own raw material and processes, and will have different process and different routing of sub-processes. A batch production system is characterized by the manufacture of limited number of products produced at regular intervals and stocked awaiting sales. Now, various characteristics of batch production. We use a batch production system when there is shorter production runs because each batch is time bound and has to be produced within that time limit. So it is not a continuous function or continuous production system. Second, when plant and machinery are flexible because each batch will require its own machinery. So we cannot have generalized, standardized, highly mechanized machines. When plant and machinery setup is used for the production of item in a batch, and change of setup is required for processing the next batch. Obviously, one batch and the product of one batch will vary in its configuration and character traits as compared to the product to be produced in the next or the future batch. Therefore, the machinery setup has to be flexible again. And the last, when the manufacturing lead time and cost are lower as compared to job order production. So these are certain characteristics of batch production. We'll move on to the third type, and that's called mass production. Now, slowly, gradually, if you see, we are moving on to the continuum of volume of production from very low to very high. Now, mass production, as the name says, is involved in manufacturing of discrete parts or assemblies using a continuous process. And this system is justified by very large volume of production in which machines are arranged in a line or product layout. Usually, product and process standardization exists and all the outputs follow the same path. That means we have now some sort of standardization in machines and processes. Again, we are now reducing on variety and increasing on volume of production. Mass production is usually used under the circumstances when standardized product and process sequence is involved in the production process. There are dedicated special purpose machines having higher production capacities and output rates as the need is. Then another character trait is that this system aims to produce large volume of products while the cycle time of production is shorter, and we have lower in-process inventory because the inventory is being processed continuously. So we don't have stock of inventory kept in the warehouse or unused. Then we have perfectly balanced production lines. Usually we have computers to take care of the production lines and processes. The flow of materials, components, and parts is usually continuous without any backtracking. We cannot have a pause in the process because it's mass production and number of units are already fed in the machine or in the beginning of the process itself. Till the time that those number of units are produced, the machines and the parts are continuously working. Then production planning and control is easy because we don't have batches or customization involved. It's a very generic process. And material handling, of course, can be completely automatic because since it's mass production, so the material will be handled through machines which are automatically running. Moving on to the fourth type of production system, which is continuous production system. And before I talk about this, we have to understand that continuous production system is highly mechanized, where laborers involved are less, while machines, which are automatic in nature, are more involved. Now, under this system, the production facilities are arranged as per the sequence of production operations from first operation to the finished product. That means it's a continuous run of machines, processes, and sub-processes, taking from the entry of raw material to the exit of finished product. The process keeps on flowing through a sequence of operations through material handling devices such as conveyors, transfer devices, etc. I must also add here that laborers and human beings are very less required. Only one or two supervisors are enough because usually continuous production system uses all automatic, computer run machines. The characteristics of continuous production system are: first, it involves dedicated plant and equipment with zero flexibility, as that was involved in batch production. The machines are very specialized and cannot stop in between. There is no flexibility. They run continuously as per the plan. Material handling is fully automated. The process flows follows a predetermined sequence of operations which is already planned. Because the system is continuous, so there is no scope of keeping the processes waiting to move on. The component materials cannot be readily identified with final product. We see the raw material is absolutely different from the output. And last, planning and scheduling is a routine action. Obviously, we have to plan in advance and schedule in advance how the machines will function, because it's continuous function, it's continuous process, so we cannot have breaks in between. So these were four production systems or types of production systems with their character traits. The topic gets over here and we will talk about the next topic, which is transformation process model. Now, transformation process model is being taken up as a topic which is quite similar or related to any production system. If you see the diagram in this slide, the first slide, which is the meaning slide, you will see that a transformation process is nothing but a production process or a conversion process. But before we start with the details of a transformational process model, we have to understand that a transformation process is a group of activities that takes one or more inputs, transforms and adds value to them, and provides outputs for customers or clients. It changes the physical characteristics of materials and therefore makes them fit for use. I just give you an example. Before the transformation process, raw sugarcane or raw cotton cannot be directly used by customers. They have to undergo certain transformation and certain value addition so that the final output made out of them is fit for ultimate use. So if I talk about raw sugarcane, if it undergoes a transformation process, the final output would be sugar, which can be directly consumed and is fit for ultimate use, final use. Similarly, I gave the example of raw cotton. We cannot use raw cotton to cover our bodies. We have to make that undergo certain processes, which are transformation and conversion processes, so that they can be converted into cotton fabric, which can be further stitched to make apparels, clothes, shirts, etc. So a transformation process is a value addition process that brings changes in the physical characteristics of materials so that the raw form of material which is unfit for use can be converted into the finished form of material fit for final consumption. Now, as it was already shown in the diagram, I am now talking about the components of a transformational process model. The first component is input, which is usually raw in nature and can be either raw material, can be information, can be transformation process, which is raw in nature and usually involves materials which are unfit for final consumptions. They can be parts, they can be pieces which cannot be used directly by the customer. Then we have second component of the transformation process model, which is the transformation process. We have already told you or explained that a transformation process is a conversion process. It converts the physical form of material. It converts the location of material. It converts the or changes the ownership of material. It also converts or changes the purpose of material, and finally brings changes in the physiological form of material. And the third component of a transformation process model is the final output, which can be either tangible in terms of physically touched and felt materials or products like soap, shampoo, sugar, paper, fabric, etc., or can be intangible services like teaching, lawyer's consultancy, doctor's prescription, or can be edible in nature like food products, including wafers, chocolates, cheese, or can be accessories such as jewelry, watches, handbags, headbands, etc., or can be wearable output like clothes, shoes, etc. So if you see the examples of products written here or commodities written here, they are ultimately finally used by customers for their need satisfaction. So if we talk about input and output as a comparison, inputs are usually raw and cannot be used directly, while the output or outputs can be directly consumed by the ultimate customer for their need satisfaction. And this value addition in the output is done with the help of transformation process, also known as conversion process. So if I talk about conversion process, it can be either dyeing, cutting, or coloring, shaping, etc. That's it. We are done with two topics today. The first topic was the types of production systems, and the second was transformation process model. Thank you so much. We'll cover future topics or further topics of the syllabus of production operations management in forthcoming lectures.